Hello 1010 players, it's Mr. 10 Frames here. Welcome to the first top list video of 2025. Here we have another Mario Kart video. I've done the top 8 best Mario Kart 7 tracks back in July of 2024, and 2 months ago I did the Mario Kart Wii battle tracks where I just, well, talked about the battle tracks from Mario Kart Wii. So now I'm going to talk about the Mario Kart DS tracks. This game was released on November 14th, 2005, which was nearly 20 years ago. Holy crap. This is the first game that would feature the Shell Cup, the Banana Cup, the Leaf Cup, and the Lightning Cup, and they would have retro tracks from Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Super Circuit, and Mario Kart Double Dash. Despite that, Mario Kart Super Circuit had the Super Mario Kart tracks, which I'm not sure if you would count them as retro tracks. Now, just like the top 8 best Mario Kart 7 tracks, I will only be discussing the new tracks and what I like in my opinion, so I'm okay if you disagree on the tracks on this list. With that being said, let's begin the list. For starters, I'm glad this track came back in Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart Tour, and in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass as a retro track. And I also love how it's a Princess Peach related track, and the music of this track is beautiful. This right here is a beautiful track to play on, as it has beautiful bushes and flowers. And I also love that there's a mansion building in the front of the track. You'll also have to avoid the Chain Chomps and the Monty Moles, otherwise you'll bump into them and you'll lose your speed. And again, I really love this layout of this track, and this garden looks awesome. It just has great trees and beautiful flowers. Oh yeah, this track was used in the missions where you have to race a Chain Chomp, and another mission where you have to beat Princess Peach. Not to be confused by Tick-Tock Clock from Super Mario 64, but at least this track came back in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a retro track. And why do I like this track? Because you're inside of a clock. There are gears in this track and there's a zigzag section, and the details of the layout looks nice. There are 2 missions for this track, where you have to play as Toad and you have to collect 40 coins in 90 seconds, and another one, you play as Donkey Kong and you have 90 seconds to complete 2 laps. And again, I like this creative idea where you can drive inside a clock and see what's inside a clock, and this track is pretty nice and decent. Ah yes, a beach-related track, and I'm so glad this track would come back in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I guess technically this is a Cheep Cheep related track, and not to be confused by Cheep Cheep Island from Mario Kart Super Circuit. I really enjoyed the layout of this track, and the sand path looks pretty. There's also a jungle section towards the end of the track, and then you appear from the boardwalk right where you started. This track is also used in 2 missions. One mission is where you play as Wario and you have 40 seconds to hit 5 Cheep Cheeps, but you use a star to hit them. And another one is where you play as Princess Peach and you have 30 seconds to collect 20 coins. I really enjoyed this track a lot because of the tropical theme, and the music of the track sounds really beautiful. You see, tropical beach related tracks makes this amazing as it has great elements and it has to match it up perfectly. Also not to be confused by the N64's Wario Stadium, and take a guess on what game did this track came back. If you guessed Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that is correct. This just looks like a normal track for a stadium, and it may look plain at first, but it's still very cool in my opinion. I also like the music for this track, even though it was used from Waluigi Pinball. I also forgot to mention that this is a Wario themed track. Even though his name is on the title, I know that. I also love that it has a night sky in the background, very similar to the N64's Wario Stadium. And as for the mission, all you do is play as Wario and you have to collect 20 coins and you have 55 seconds to do that. The layout of this track looks pretty awesome, and there's one more thing I want to point out, is that the introduction of this track actually sounds different compared to the other track intros from this game. Take a listen. Okay, I know you're all shocked that this Rainbow Road is not on the #1 list, but let me explain. I love this track a lot in my opinion, don't get me wrong, and I just enjoy every Rainbow Roads in every Mario Kart games. I love how that there's a loop and there's even a spiral loop, which basically means you go upside down and sideways. Foreshadowing, because 9 years later we would get Mario Kart 8, where it had anti-gravity tracks. The layout looks perfect and amazing, and as usual, this track takes place on the night sky. But at least there are some railings to prevent players from falling, while there are no railings most of the time. I also love the music of this track, it just sounds amazing. Every Rainbow Road makes things amazing and fun as well. For this one mission, you play as Princess Peach, and for some reason, you go on the 6 booster slides just to complete one lap. It's a shame that this track has not been remade as a retro track, but hopefully this track will come back soon, and that's the thing. I'm surprised that this track didn't come back in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. For starters, I'm glad this track would come back in Mario Kart 7 and in Mario Kart Tour, but I'm surprised this track didn't come back in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. But anyways, this is an awesome track to play on since you're driving on a floating airship, and I believe this is based on the stage from Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World. The layout of this track looks awesome, and I love the cloudy skies have a purplish and pinkish colored tone to it. For some reason, I don't know how to describe the music of the track other than it sounds great. Maybe it sounds like an adventure music, I don't know. But yeah, I think this track looks awesome, even though there are bullet bills on the track and you need to avoid them. The best part about this track is the launching part out of the pipe cannon. And lastly, the 2 missions. One mission is where you have to play as Wario, and you have to use a star to hit 15 rocky wrenches in 30 seconds, and another mission is where you play as Bowser and you have to collect 12 coins while driving backwards. Okay then. Well, not to be confused by Delfino Plaza from Super Mario Sunshine, but hey, at least this track came back in Mario Kart Wii. But surprisingly, not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, just like Airship Fortress as I talked about this previously. The layout of this track looks very beautiful at all. The same goes with the town folks, especially the piñatas, the buildings, the trees, and even the pier. Actually, the best part about it is the music. I love and enjoy listening to this track. It sounds pretty beautiful from what I can tell. There's a bridge section where it can rise up and down, but there's booster panels giving you more speed, and at least you can perform tricks, but I think that's only in Mario Kart Wii. And as for the 2 missions, there's one mission where you play as Wario and you have to crash into 10 wooden crates in 55 seconds, and another one is where you play as Bowser and you have to pass through 5 gates in 50 seconds while driving backwards, as if I couldn't make this shit up. I just love this track because of the layout, atmosphere, and the fact you drive into a mini town is so amazing. I am so extremely happy that this track came back in Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart Tour, and in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Here's why I freaking love this track so much. You're driving inside of a pinball machine. Isn't it freaking awesome? And I said this earlier that this track shares the same song as Wario Stadium, and another thing is that it's a Waluigi theme track. If you hit an item box, the roulette has a different sound. The same goes with the second lap jingle. I really love how they always come up with creative ideas and names when creating a track. And I also love the layout of this track, as you see what's inside of a pinball machine, and I also love the neon bright colors. I do want to ask, have you ever played a pinball machine? I'm just curious. And as for the missions, there's one mission where you play as Wario, and you have to hit 5 item boxes in 50 seconds. And another one is where you play as Toad and you just drive through 10 gates and you have 45 seconds to complete the mission. So full disclosure everybody, Waluigi Pinball is the best Mario Kart DS track ever of all time in my opinion. And that concludes the top 8 best Mario Kart DS tracks. If you made it towards the end of the video, hit that like button and leave a comment below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. Follow me on Instagram where I post artworks daily, and join my Discord server. Link will be in the description. Drop a comment below on what your favorite Mario Kart DS track is. Thanks for watching, and peace out everyone.